All right. Recording in progress again. And for the third and hopefully final time, my name is Olivia Morris, and I am wow, this isn't working at all. Okay, is anyone still on the call with me? It's now showing no attendees. Jody says she can hear me. Now it looks like a bunch of people got booted out and are coming back in. I am so sorry. I do not know what is going on with the Zoom today. It is just wackadoodle, I think. Okay, so I will assume since Jody said it's good and I got a high five that I can be heard at the moment. Good. Thank you, Jody. I did open up the chat. So if you do have questions in the chat, you can use, or if you're having trouble with the audio or something, please pop that up and let me know that you can or cannot hear me if that is the case. It sounds like the recording is running, so I'm going to get started for the fourth time here in 4 minutes. I've started this 4 times, but that's all right. We're going to power through. So once again, my name is Olivia Morris. I work for Metronet. Metronet is a multi-county, multi-type library system in Minnesota. For those of you who are not local, I'm going to just briefly flip over here and share my screen so that you can see that. And I do have, this is a map of the Minnesota multi-county, multi-type systems. So you can see we cover the entire state of Minnesota. Metronet is in green in the small center there. We cover the Twin Cities metropolitan area. So multi-county means we all cover multi-areas. So we cover the 7-county metropolitan area, which includes Minneapolis and St. Paul. And then multi-type means we cover all 4 types of libraries: public, school, academic, and special libraries. And our function is to do support libraries through resources, programming, networking, scholarships, things like that. So we do a lot of things supporting our local libraries. And for my particular part, I am a program manager for Metronet. So what I do is a series of programs like this, your Learnabout program. I am going to switch over here to the Learnabout Google Voice. That is what we are talking about today, is Google Voice. So Google Voice was actually requested in one of the previous Learnabouts that I had done. Someone had said, reached out to me and said, I would really like to know more about Google Voice, and can you help us with that? And I was like, yes, I can. I would love to. And it came at a really fortuitous time because at the time, Metronet was moving offices and we were switching from an old landline-based phone system to an internet phone system. So I was looking into all of these. And so I really got kind of a on-the-ground learning experience for Google Voice, which we did end up going with. So that should tell you something. So we've covered who I am. The Learnabout series is a series of programs where I teach you about a topic or program or some sort of knowledge sharing piece of information that will help you do your job better. Presumably you work in some sort of library or education service. So we've been doing these for a bit over a year now, and we've done a lot of the Google products. And then we've also branched out and done some other things. We recently, in January, we did Canva. In March, we did podcasting. So we've kind of been branching out to other things as well. And now I'm looking at doing some further things, as well as doing some second, so like intermediate. A lot of the things we're doing are basic or introductory level, and maybe doing some intermediate down the road of some of the services we've already covered. So today, we are going to talk specifically about Google Voice. I'm going to tell you what it is. We're going to talk a little bit about the cost, about whether or not you should get a personal account or a business account or both, porting, and then I'm going to show you a little bit around it. And then we'll look at some of the future events and I will take your questions. And Jody said, I thought this was the VR kit session. Jody, I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm also kind of heartbroken because you came here to see that, and that's supposed to be next month, but I actually am having to cancel it. The woman that was kind enough to agree to do it, who has been running the VR program kit, just left her job. So she no longer has access to the VR kit materials, and she is unable to share that with us in May. I'm scrambling, hoping I can find someone else, but it's not looking good at this point. So it's most likely I'm going to end up not even having that one now, but I'm going to keep it in my pocket for the fall. We'll pick this up again in the fall, and hopefully between now and fall, I will be able to find someone else who uses these VR kits, which are amazing. And I will be able to share that with you then. So I'm so sorry that you were disappointed. Hopefully you will like to stay and learn more about Google Voice, because I feel like you could learn a lot here if you need to know about voice telephones. So with that, that's what we were talking about. So let's dive right. Oh, I'm sorry. If you have questions, feel free to use the chat or the Q&A function at any point. Just go ahead and put your questions in there. I will try to get to them as I see them, though, as I'm the only one manning the webinar here, I may miss them right away when they're put up, but I promise you by the end, I will come back and get all of your questions. So when I teach regarding a Google product, the first place I go when I need to learn it is the Google Help page. So Google, say whatever you want about them, call them, the big evil, or call them, gods among the internet, whatever it is you think of Google, they are fantastic at providing help for their services. And since they have a lot of services, I think that's amazing, but also their services are designed to be pretty user-friendly. So the fact that they put so much time and effort into their help is really, it's a great thing. So I usually spend some time in the help page, poking around, seeing, what I can learn from that page. And then I go out and I look at the internet. I always look at the actual product itself. That's how I learn about these things. So be sure to visit the Google Voice help page. I'm going to click on it just so you can take a look. So their help pages always look pretty much the same. So you can type up here and it's sort of, natural language. What problem are you having? You can browse through their table of contents, what it is. I'm having trouble with my voicemail. Well, let's click on this page and see what I can learn here in the voicemail section, that kind of thing. But there's a lot of, and then there's always a community of real people, not, Google geniuses, but actual people who use these products in these community help that you can go in there and ask your question, or see that the question's already been asked and answered, and get a lot of information that way. So that's what the help function does, and it is useful. Trust me, if you are stuck, go here and try this. Also, I will share, now that I think about it, I will share this with all of you, because why not, right? I definitely want you to have access to this slide deck. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the chat. All right. So feel free to grab that if you would like. If you want to use this for the future, you are more than welcome to take a look and use the slide deck. As you can see, I've linked to that. And someone just said, Adrienne just asked if I would, I'm guessing she was asking, like typing that while I was saying it out loud. So yes, obviously that has been done. So that is the Google Voice help page. Next up is the getting started. This was something I found when I was a while back. Luckily, I was smart enough to bookmark it. So Google actually provided like if you want to set up Google Voice and they have like a step-by-step process you can just walk through, and it explains everything you could possibly need to know. I mean, I kind of want to be like, if you just read this, you don't need me, but we're already here and I'm a little more interactive than, reading this static page. So let's go with me, shall we? So that's the getting started page. So feel free to take a look at that. But what I really want to do is kind of dig into the basics. So first of all, what is Google Voice? Google Voice is a VoIP service. VoIP, which you can see the acronym on your screen there, VoIP, stands for Voice over Internet Protocol. That's what that stands for. It's a very fancy way of saying internet telephone. That's all it means. It just means that instead of using a cellular tower or a landline to make your phone calls, you are using the internet. You have to be connected to the internet or your phone will not work. So that's something that you should know up front. If you don't have solid internet service or wherever you're wanting this phone call for, you're not going to have access to regular internet, this will not be the service for you. Okay. If you're using it for your personal, for a small business, for your actual work, any of these things where you're going to have regular internet access, this can be a really great service. So I mentioned earlier that Metronet, the organization that I work for, we moved physical locations. So we were shut down for the pandemic and we had this really big office space that we no longer need. And this is a very common problem these days. Like a lot of people are dealing with this. So we needed to move into a smaller space. And with that, we were getting rid of our old landline telephone. And rather than, lock ourselves into one of those service contracts with the hefty fees and whatnot, and the multi-line phone systems, we thought maybe there's a better way. And so we started, when I say we, I mean, it was put in my on my plate and I was happy to have it. To find us an alternative. So I looked at a lot of different options and there are a lot of VoIP services out there. So if you Google VoIP, you will find tons of them. Google Voice is pretty well known, I think mostly because it's a Google product and they're fantastic with their branding. But there are others. So if it doesn't feel like Google is for you, or if you're not a regular Google user, if your organization doesn't use Google, maybe you're Microsoft users, Microsoft, it's Teams. I think that's their phone. Teams uses the phone as well. So there are other options. They run basically the same, but bear in mind there will be some slight differences, and we are focusing specifically on Google Voice today. So, excuse me, I needed a sip of water. So a voice over internet protocol is VoIP, is just internet phone is what it is. It also includes voicemail and text messaging, but I'll get to that shortly. So next up is cost. Before I do that, I think we'll touch on the difference between personal and business. So I was looking specifically for a business account. We are a Google business. We have a Google account that we use. Our emails are Google. Our website is Google. All of it is Google, Google, Google. So for us, it was a natural extension to go with Google Voice. We did look at other products because it did, a lot of them are very platform neutral. They don't care what service you're using because it's just internet based. As long as you have an internet connection, you can get your phone from anywhere. So bear that in mind. If you're not fond of Google for any reason, even if you use Google products through work, you can use pretty much any other VoIP service. They really don't care what platform you're on. As long as you have internet connection, they're fine. But for our business, I looked at a lot of them and I was mostly looking for price and then the services that they offer because we had some specific needs for our business. So if that's the case, you may want to compare. And there are some great articles that are out there. Tom's Guide, if you guys are not familiar, Tom's Guide, TOMSGUIDE, Tom's Guide is a service they do. It's kind of like the old Consumer Reports, but they get information about a bunch of products and they compare them for you. So to give you sort of the best. So I know I read a Tom's Guide report about the different VoIP services and they compared them by features. So you could take a look at the different features that were available through each. And it kind of led me to a few that I investigated further. But as I said, we did go with that. So that's as a business account, how it worked for us. As far as a personal account goes, anyone with a Google account, so anybody with a Gmail, if you have a Gmail, then you have a Google account. So if you have a Google account, you can get a free voice number or free VoIP service for your personal account, okay? And what that means is Google is not going to charge you to use Google Phone. You can get your personal Google phone number and you won't be charged for it as long as your calls are local, so US based. If you are looking to call overseas for whatever reason, they do actually charge for that on a case-by-case basis. So you can have your free service for your local calls, and then when you do make an international call, you will pay just for that call. So I did link in here in the slide deck about the call rates. So if you click on this, and I'm happy to just open it up and let you take a look at it, see what it looks like. This is what they charge. So you can see over here is rate per minute and then by country. So wherever it is you want to call, you can search at the top too. You don't have to scroll through the 200 countries of the world. You can put in, I want to make a call to Uganda, obviously. And then, cheaper to call a landline in Uganda or mobile. Special services would be if you're calling like fire department or police or government offices, something like that, which is the same as a mobile. So you can look that up and see. And as you can see, it's not terribly expensive. I mean, I honestly haven't looked in a long time to see what like a long distance call actually costs. So, you know, most cell phones allow you to do that for free. But so like I said, it is included in there. They tell you upfront what it's going to cost. And so it's very affordable. And if you're not making international calls, it's free for your personal account. For a business account, they do charge, and they charge by the number of lines for a business. So there's not a fee there's not like a monthly service fee for using Google Voice. That's still free. What they do charge for is the number of lines that you need for your business. So if you need, and I don't remember exactly what it is, this would be something that you could easily look up, but like up to 5 lines is X number of dollars a month. And I want to say it's pretty affordable. We're a small organization. We're 3 people, and I believe we're paying like $20 a month for a business line. So that is the difference there. And the reason that we would do that as opposed to the personal and using it for free is that, first of all, it would have to be tied to my personal Google account, not my business Google account, because that falls under our business account. And then we'd all have to have our own individual plan, as opposed to this goes through my company. So the calls are recorded and stored and archived under my business email. So it's all tied to my business account. So it's just sort of a housekeeping feature, I guess, than anything else. But because it is a business service, they do charge a nominal fee. But like I said, very affordable, much, much less. The old multi-line thing that we were paying at the old office, the hard line was way more than that per month. So we're saving quite a bit of money doing this. The next thing, I did mention this earlier, is the platform. So like I said, most of these VoIP services are platform neutral, which means they don't care what you're using, what sort of device, or so I don't care if you're on a laptop or a desktop or an iPad or an iPhone or an Android or who knows what else there is. They don't care about all of that. The only thing that I found that's a little odd for whatever reason is that for the devices, so that would be iPhone and iPad, not for the Mac. A Mac, they're fine. They work like everything else, but the actual iPhone and iPad do require you to download an app. And I don't know if that's an Apple thing or what. I have no idea. I didn't look into it because it was a very simple thing to do. I downloaded the app and put it on my cell phone. And then if someone calls my business line, the app will notify me on my cell phone and say, you're getting a call through your business line, which I actually like. It doesn't interrupt my day, but I can still get my work calls on my cell phone without any difficulty. I didn't have to forward anything, so I actually thought it was pretty simple to use. But it's my understanding that if you have an Android phone, it will just ring through. If someone calls, you have to forward it and set it up to forward it, but then it'll just ring through your cell phone, or you can answer it right from the internet browser on your Android device. So yes, fairly platform neutral. The other thing that I wanted to mention is porting, which was something I had to learn quite a bit about. Porting means taking an old number that was tied to some other account and bringing it over to Google Voice. It's a common term in the VoIP world, porting. This word right here, porting, just make sure that you're hearing me correctly. So we had a business landline with a business number that was attached to our company for years and years and years. Well, when switching to the voice service, we would have to switch phone numbers, which wouldn't have been a huge disaster, but it does require a lot of effort to go through, and, you got to change your business cards and you got to change your website and you got to make sure everything has the new phone number on it. And what we learned was it's actually pretty simple to port a number. So what we did was we reached out to our service, to whoever provided our Allstream was the company that we used to get our telephone service. Their name was Allstream. So we reached out to Allstream and said, we want to port our business phone number. And they charged us a fee, and that will be in your contract, or you can ask them and they'll let you know. They charged us a fee on their end to port the number. And then they go through some sort of technical stuff behind the scenes that I have no idea about. And then eventually, and I will say it did take a while, maybe like 6 weeks. Eventually they sent us an email and they said, your number is ready for porting. I then went into the Google account that I had set up for us, the Google Voice account I had set up for our new office. And and there's a porting tab in there, and I clicked it, and Google then brought the number over and made it a Google Voice number. So now when you call our old office number, it rings at our new Google Voice line. So that is a nice feature. If you do have a number you are attached to, or a business number that you've been paying a higher fee and you're looking to save money, but you still want to use that number, it is possible. You just have to port it. It requires a little more work up front. You have to, make some calls and connect with some people, but it's not that complicated and it can happen. But there is usually a fee charged by your telephone provider, not by Google Voice. They do not charge you to port a number, but you do have to make that number available. So that is how that works. I'm going to pause for just a second and say, do you have any questions thus far? And then I'm going to take you in and we're going to look at it live. I clicked on the wrong button. I meant to click on the chat, not the participant list. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone is typing, so I will keep moving forward. So what I want to show you now is Google Voice. So when you search for Google Voice, it looks like this. And I'm showing you this only because I have found if I am looking for something, it usually falls under one of these major headings. So you can come in here and go to Google Voice and traipse through the service if you need to. But there are things that you can do. So I'm having trouble with my calls. It's not working. Various things. You can come in here and just click on one of these to get to, and here's that help page once again. You can click on it right here from this page. So this is what comes up when you Google Voice. I did not think that sentence through before I said it out loud. I don't know if you could tell, but I definitely didn't mean to say the word Google that many times in a row. The other thing that you can do is simply go to voice.google.com. So this part of the web address. Wow, that didn't work for me. Let's try that again. This part of the web address, voice.google.com, will take you to this page, unless you are not signed in. So if you are not currently signed into your Google account, the first place it'll take you is to that screen to make you sign in, as is common with most Google products. They want you, and most cases need you to be signed into their products. So you may hit that login screen. Once you do that, you will see this if you do not already have a Google Voice account. This is my personal Google account where I do not yet have a Google Voice number. I will also show you what it looks like from the business side, just so you can see what it looks like once you have it set up, because I'm not going to set it up today. I just want you to see. So once you're logged in, the first thing you see is this, where it says select a Google Voice number. So one of the fun things about Google is that you actually get to pick your own phone number to a degree. It's not like any number in existence. It's only numbers that are owned by Google Voice. So Google has purchased a whole bunch of cell phone numbers or existing landline numbers, et cetera, brought them into the Google world, and now they're owned by Google Voice. So you can search here by city or area code, as you can see. So if you ever called someone or had someone call you and it on your cell phone, and it comes up and it's not a number that's programmed into your phone, and it'll give you the number at the top, and then underneath it'll usually give you a city and state. That's what you're looking for here. So if you want it to be representative of a particular city or state, you can type that in here. If not, if you wanted to represent a particular area code, you can do that as well. So my business is in St. Paul, Minnesota, and St. Paul primarily uses the 651 area code. So I'm going to click a 651 as the area code. And then you can see underneath that there are giving me some cities that are not St. Paul. And these are local suburbs that also use the 651 area code. So again, maybe you would prefer to have St. Paul, Minnesota. And this defaults to Twin Cities, Minnesota. And most of these are 612, which is, if you are not local, that's the Minneapolis area code, whereas 651 is the St. Paul area code. So I wouldn't use one of these because I would prefer that the area code be 651 rather than that the city represent the Twin Cities. So that's just my preference, but you do you. Whatever works for you in your area. So I'm going to hit 651 and then let it pop up. You'll notice it was different numbers the last time. So it will throw up different numbers pretty much every time you're looking at this. And you can also, if you're looking for a particular number, maybe, you need the last 4 digits to be something that spells out a word or something. You can type that in. You don't have to even go by area code. You can type in, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you see it's going all over the place. So now I have 5, and here's 1, 2, 3, 4 in this first one. So it's pulling from a lot of different areas. And obviously I don't want an Austin, Texas number, but you can search in a lot of different ways here. So going back to my 651. So I can look through here and find the number that appeals to me the most. For me, I just like something that's catchy and easy to remember. I've got enough numbers in my life. I didn't need, like, to me, I don't like this 65124327708. It's like 2 is like the only thing that repeats. Everything else is a different digit. I don't like that. So find what works for you. And when you have the number that is the number of your dreams, and we're just going to pretend it's this one, it's not, but we'll just pretend that it is. I'm going to hit select on the number. Okay. So when doing this, it then brings you to the number up here that you can see. You have to then verify your existing phone number. So you do have to have an account, either a landline or a cell phone number that is registered, and a legitimate phone number, in order to use your Google Voice account. And they're also going to want it to be whatever one is attached to your Google account. So when you register for your Google accounts, they make you put in a phone number, and you always think, why? I'm using this for email. What do they need a phone number for? Well, this is one of the reasons why they want that phone number here. So you would go ahead and hit verify, and then type in the number, and then it will connect those 2 numbers together. So if you're using it for business, you'd want to use your business phone here. If you're using it for personal services, you want to use your personal cell phone or landline that is attached to your Google account. And then it's going to link those 2 numbers together, so that if someone calls your Google account and you don't answer through your Google Voice line, it will forward that to your personal account, so you can see that you have a missed call or a voicemail, etc. Now, again, I'm not signing up here, so I'm not going to do this, but what you would do is you would type in that number here, and there's popping up my actual cell phone number, but you type in the number here and you hit send code, and it's going to send a code to that. It says a text message, but you can also verify it by phone. So if you are using a landline, you can hit the verify by phone, and they will call you on your landline with a 6-digit code that you'll have to enter in on the next screen. At that point, your Google number is claimed, you own it, that is your number, and you can start using it immediately. There is no delay, it's just that fast. I mean, honestly, the amount of time of talking takes 10 times as long as it takes to actually set this up. Pick the number, hit verify, put your number in, enter the code, and you're done. It's that simple. That's how you set up your Google Voice account. Now, once you have it, what does it look like? Well, I can show you that. I'm going to switch accounts here from my personal to my business account. And because I do have a Google account attached to this one, you can see right away what it looks like on the Google Voice screen. So walking through on the left-hand side, the far left, so these little tiny icons over here, this is where you get call information, text message information, voicemail information. Here's where you can archive different calls. So if you want to save a voicemail for further, to keep it, you can archive them here. And then you can also mark things as spam here in this menu. And then obviously this big section here is the corresponding menu. Obviously, I only use this for calls, as you can see. I don't have anything in the text message. I do have a couple of voicemail, but this is all of the list of incoming and outgoing calls that I have had on my Google Voice line through work, okay? So I can flip through those. I can click on one of them to call that number back if I need to. I could click on any one of them right here. For instance, this is my personal cell phone, so I will just click on that, and then my cell phone will start ringing from that when I make that call. So you can also search up here. You can search for people. You can search for phone numbers. So if you know you got a call from somebody and you can't remember what their number is, you can search for them by name and find their phone number up here. Or if you know a number and you don't know who it is, or etc., you can search up there. The center here just sort of tells you things that are happening. It's kind of like the message center, I guess. So if you're looking at a particular call, or if you want to see a voicemail, oh, that's text messaging, sorry. So if you click on voicemail, I'm going to click on this one. This was the one when I was setting up the voicemail. So when I click on that, you get the information about who called me, the number that I called from, to call back, to text back, additional options. Okay, so if I want to save this into a group or mark it as spam or download the voicemail, if I need to email it to someone, delete it, etc. And then also here in the center, there's an icon if there was a, and then the actual voicemail is here. Hello, here's your practice voicemail, bye-bye. That's what I said in my first ever voicemail to make sure that it was working. So, so that's where you do that. And most of my voicemails I delete after I deal with them. I'm not even sure why this one is in here. Maybe I knew I would need one to demonstrate with. Who knows? Over here on the right, you will see the Google Voice number that I have selected for my business line. So this is the number that I'm calling from. Sometimes if you work for a larger organization, you may have multiple lines. So you may have a couple of Google numbers. So when you were making an outgoing call, you can select which number you're calling from. It's really akin to when you had a multi-line phone system and you picked up the phone and you hit line 1 or you hit line 2. Kind of the same concept there. Is you can, if you have multiple lines, you can select that line before you do it. Right here, you can enter the name or number of a person to make a call. So you can type that in here if you want to make that call. And that's just a quick way of doing it using the keypad, rather than you can also come down here to the, but then you have to click on each individual. So I'd have to click, 6, 5, 1, and it's, I think, just easier for me to use the keypad and type it in. I also have a directory of people that are in here that I call considerably. So people that are attached to my Google account, so you can see who I can call regularly. So this is what it looks like. It's pretty bare bones, I guess, is what I wanted you to see. And that is by design. They want it to be just pretty simple. It's a phone. It doesn't need to be a whole lot fancier than this. It is giving me a warning here. Your browser might prevent calls from ringing. Change your browser settings to allow Google Voice to play sound. I will say, I'm going to go back here for a second. I am at the moment on, I use one computer for Zoom, and I use a Chromebook for the majority of the other work that I do. Zoom is not real friendly with the Chromebook, so I do use a Windows computer when I'm running Zoom. So I don't use the Google Voice on this computer ever. This is literally the most I've ever used it on here. It seems to work a little bit better on the Chromebook, or that was a completely false statement. I don't know that it works better on the Chromebook. I only use it on the Chromebook. I'm sure it works just fine on here as well. But clearly there are some settings in this browser that I'm using, the Microsoft browser, that would require me, and I could certainly walk through that and figure it out, but it's not something I'm overly concerned with. So that is, up here in the upper left-hand corner. So this is the main voice menu, which we've already looked at. It defaults to just the icons, but if you click on the main menu, then it gives you the full menu where it says next to it, calls, messages, voicemail. There's just really no need for that. It's just so simple. You can also, go to the home screen. So I was clicking around and different things were changing. Clicking on the word voice takes me back to this home page, which is what you saw when I first opened it up. Hi, Olivia, you're all caught up. So if I had missed calls, or if someone had left me a voicemail, etc., that would all show in this center pane. So if I was opening it up to start my day and there were calls that had come in overnight, or since I had last logged off, etc., that would all show right here in this center pane. Okay, let me jump back up here for a second. So yes, I think that is everything that I wanted to show you about Google Voice. Do you have some questions for me now that I've kind of shown you the actual how it works, either through the chat or the Q&A? I will take any questions that you have. And I'll let that go for a minute in case someone does have anything. But moving forward, I want to keep talking about the other learnabouts. I know we still have about 20 minutes left in the session for today. I knew this one wasn't going to take a full hour. There just isn't enough to Google Voice. It's just really, I mean, once you get it set up, which I showed you is very simple to do, at least for the personal side and for not porting, if you're just picking one of their numbers. If you're porting, it's a little more convoluted, but not much. And then once it's set up, it works like a phone. So like I said, it rings. I keep it open on my browser while I'm working. So I always have a tab with Google Voice open in the background when I'm working on my laptop. So if I get a call during the workday, it just will ring while I'm sitting there on my laptop, and it pops up a little pop-up thing that says incoming call, which it does in case I have the sound off. I almost always have the sound on, but just in case, it does give me both the visual and the auditory check that I'm getting a phone call. So I can click over and I can do that. I can accept the call, take the call, or I can, of course, ignore it and let it go to send it to voicemail at any time as well. You're not obligated to answer it or anything. Or you can also just look at it. You don't need to necessarily pick it up. Can you choose a ringtone? Good question, Barb. I've not seen anything about choosing a ringtone, and I wonder, let me flip back over, and I'm going to turn my volume up, and I wonder, you should be able to hear it if I call my own. I'm going to call it from my cell phone. Can you guys hear that? I don't see anything ringtone related on the screen. I'm looking while I'm letting it ring just to see if, and I'm going to hang it up because I don't want to do my own voicemail. Could you hear the ringing? I'm just curious. No, couldn't hear it. Okay. I didn't know. I'm never sure how the audio works, like what speaker it's going through. I mean, I know you can obviously hear me speaking, but I know sometimes you have to switch to a different microphone, internal microphone when you're playing a video, or it's strange with Zoom. And I wasn't sure. I've actually never done a call, but I guess that's good to know. I guess it's good to know that if I'm doing a Zoom call and someone does call me during that, I usually set myself to busy so calls and stuff won't ring through. But if I forgot, it's good to know that it won't interrupt my my Zoominar by ringing. But I didn't see anything about changing a ringtone. It's a pretty basic, just, it's a light, it's a light dinging sounding like a phone ringing. I mean, it's pretty basic. It never even occurred to me to wonder if you could. I will look that up though and see if I can find that for you. Are there any other questions? You will notice now in the main taskbar, it says that I have one missed call. And then over here in bold, you'll notice that the old ones are not in bold and the new ones are in bold. So that I have a missed call. So again, pretty basic. And then look over here in my tabs, voice, I have a one there showing that I have a missed call. So again, there's another visual check that something has happened. Okay. If you have more questions, I'm more than happy to take them at any time. You can, like I said, we'll stay on for a few minutes. You can go ahead and hit up the chat or the Q&A if you have more questions. You can always email me with follow-up questions. I know sometimes you walk away from these things and you're like thinking about it and you're like, oh, I wish I would have asked. Please email me. I love questions. I'm happy to answer them. My email address is right here on the screen. If you have the slide deck, you will have access to it. Please, at any time, go ahead and send me an email with a follow-up question, or on the screen, other suggestions. So as I mentioned earlier, when Jody mentioned that she thought this was the virtual reality kits, that person that was going to do that for me is not available in May. So I'm canceling that in May because I really don't think I'm going to be able to find someone in the meantime. But I'm hoping I maybe can for this fall find someone who can bring that back. I'm also doing Canva, we did that in January and it was wildly popular. They were asking us during the session, can we please have another session of this? Because there's so many great things to do there. So we're going to do Canva part 2 in September or October. And then also Chat GPT, the new AI bot that's taken the world by storm. I've had a lot of people emailing me asking about that. So I'm going to do a session on that in the fall. We tend not to do these in the summer because, well, from previous experience, we get no attendance in the summer. So I kind of stick to September to May for these. So school year for them. For any of these programs, as well as any of our other programs, you are welcome to attend. You can find the registration here on our webpage. And lastly, this is a link to our YouTube channel where you will find all of the Learnabouts we have done so far. You can watch any of those. So if Canva is something, if you missed it, you can go on there and watch the Canva part 1 and then come back and join us live in September or October for Canva part 2. So that is what we will be doing. Like I said, you do have access to this slide deck, so please feel free. If you have something you want to learn, please ask. If I don't know how to do it and I can't learn it well enough to teach you, then I will find someone who can. That is my job. And that's it. 4:43, we are officially done. Feel free to go out and enjoy this gorgeous day. I don't know where you all are in the world, but I am in St. Paul, Minnesota, and it is 72 and sunny in April, which is basically a miracle. So get outside, enjoy this beautiful weather, and thank you very much.